So hello again in another exciting Unity tutorial with me, Romy Fauzi. And in this video, I'm going try to explain how to create a 2D rig but with a swappable body parts, so we can create a custom or different characters with just 3 character sprites. And the setup this time will be slightly different than our last video where I explained how to create 2D rigs, and it's a bit more complicated since it's involving creating a sprite library, and I'm going to explain this in a bit. And the sprite slices, each of the body parts needs to be sliced by itself, so we cannot do a quick rig like the previous example. So I'm going to start set up the character sprite. So here I have the first character, which is character A. Let's just set this to multiple and then go to the sprite editor, press apply. Okay, so when we set the sprite to multiple, we will have this sprite, but we won't have slices. So in order to slice this, we can just press the slice button and then choose automatically, and then press the slice button, and it will create new slices. And now we need to rename each of the body parts to make it clear. So the first one, I'm going to rename this to head, character A head. I'm going just to delete the number and then add the body part name, and this will be the body, and this should be the pelvis, not Elvis, the pelvis, and then this will be the right arm, and this would be the left arm, and this should be the left leg, and this would be the right leg. So after we rename all of these slices, now we can go to the skinning editor and then press apply. Now inside the skinning editor, we need to assign bone to each of the body parts. So in order to do this, let's just choose the create button, the create bone button here, and then pick the body part that we want to create a button. Just double click on the sprite and then create, and this one would be the head, and we can only add we need to only add one bone here, and double click on the neck and then create a button, sorry, not a button, create a bones. And then here for the body, just create one bone for this example, and then for the pelvis, we can just create one button here, not one button, sorry, one bone. And for the hand, we need to create 3 buttons. Sorry, I keep saying button, it should be bone. Don't know what's wrong with me today. And here, let's just create 3 bones also for the hand. And for the leg, let's just create 3 bones, and we can adjust the proportion of the bone, the length of the bone. Okay, so now that we've created all of the bone here, we need to rename those bone here. I'm going just to adjust the leg bones, so the knees align with each of the leg here. And for the hand, I think it's already good enough. And now we need to rename the bone, and I've already set up a naming here. So let's just go back to, I'm going to apply this first and then close this, and here I have a node. I'm just going to open this node here, and this is the bone naming that I've created so far. So let's just reopen, and you'll see why I create a specific name, because each of the character should have the same bone naming. So I'm going to go back to the skinning editor, double click here, and this would be the head, and this would be the neck, and this would be the body, and this would be the pelvis. And here we have 3 bones, so this should be the right upper arm. And I'm not sure if we have an underscore. Oh, we have an underscore, so I need to put the underscore here. And then this would be the right forearm, and this would be the right hand. And the same goes with the left hand, so let's just quick rename this. Okay, so now we've done all of the bones here, and we don't need to change the depth because this will be a separate sprites instance in the scene. And now we need to set the geometry. So let's just generate the geometry. And this is the best setting that I've found for the sprite, and this would be different depending on your sprite size, the image resolution size. So let's just you can just play with the settings and see the best subdivision. And now let's just as you can see here, I have an issue, so I'm going to go to the edit bone here, and I'm going to delete this bone here, and I need to recreate the bone. So let's just create the bone and double click on this art here on the sprite slice, and then create a new bone. Because apparently when I create this before, it's still selecting this leg here, so that bones belong to the sprite here, the previous one. So I need to just rename this quick. Okay, so now while this selected, just go to the auto geometry and then generate for selected, and it will generate. And now I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to generate for selected. All of the sprite parts here we need to generate. Okay, so now that we've already set up our character, let's just press apply, and now you see that I've already set up for the other two character here. If I go to the sprite editor, it's already been sliced, and then you see it already been renamed. And if I go to the skinning editor and then go to the edit bone here, you'll see that it's already been generated. The mesh is already, the geometry is already been generated, and also the bone is already been linked to those geometry. So now in order to do this, I'm going to create a new empty game object, and this will be our character. So let's just call character, and I'm going to expand this, and I'm going to put all of the sprite here: the head, the body, the arm, the left arm, the left leg, the neck here, the pelvis, the right arm, and the right leg. Okay, so now we already put all of this art here. Let's just set this into position. So for the head and the neck, I'm going to move this here, and for the body, I'm going to move it here, and set the pelvis like so. And for the arm, I'm going to position this, and for the left arm, let's just position the arm here, and we are going to fix the position and the rotation. Okay, so now you see we already set up the character, and now it's a good time to create the ordering. So I'm going to reposition the neck here, and I'm going to delete the directional light. We don't need that. So let's just put the neck in the right position and put the head. Now that we have this rightly positioned, we need to adjust the order. So for the body, I'm going to set this to 0, and the pelvis to -1, so it stays behind the body. And for the left leg, it's going to be -2, and for the right leg, it's going to be 0. Should be okay, because pelvis is -1, so it will be in front of the pelvis. And this will be, I think this should be 2, and this should be -3, so it stays behind the pelvis, the left leg, and also the body. And this is 0, so this should be 1 leg, and the head should be 2, so I'm going to move the hand to the 3 in the order layer, so it stays in front of our face. Now that we have set this up here, let's just select all of the rig here, and then we want to add the sprite skin component. And now we need to create the bones. Now once we create the bones, you see that we have bones for each of the body part. And now we need to parent this object to the parent bone here. So if I expand the neck here, I need to move the head to be the child of our neck. So in order this way, if we rotate the neck, the head will follow the neck rotation, and the same goes with our hand. So let's just expand our body here, and I'm going to parent the left arm to the body bone here, and also the right arm. And now we can rotate this, and we can reposition Also the same goes with the left arm. We can rotate this by dragging the most upper bones here, and then we can move this here. Okay, so we can put the hand in the right position. And the same goes with our leg, and the leg will be the child of our pelvis bone. So let's just expand the pelvis and then put the right leg and also the left leg to be the child of our pelvis, and the neck should be the child of our body here, and the body should be the child of our pelvis, but the pelvis bone. So now if we expand all of this by holding Alt and then press the expand icon, you see that we have this hierarchy. And now I'm going to readjust the leg a bit here. So the left leg, I'm going to move this slide here, and the right leg, I'm going to move this down here. Okay, and now we need to set up the IK, and this is quite easy. We can just put the IK on the most upper parent game object. So let's just type Sprite IK. Oh, sorry, let's just type IK, and yeah, we need to add the IK manager. And now this is exactly the same as our previous tutorial. Just add the limb IK, and I'm going to reposition this here so it's near our hand, and this will be the right hand IK, and add the right hand, the lowermost bones here, the right hand bones as the effector, and then create target. And if it's the flip is wrong, then we can just press the flip checkbox and it will flip correctly. So now if we move, you see that we have the working IK. And let's just create a couple more IK. I'm going to fast forward this part. Okay, so now we already set up all of the IK, and if we try to move the pelvis bone here, you see that the IK stays. So we can animate this quite easy. And for the IK, I'm going to select all of the IK object and then enable the icon so we can see it better. And now we have a working character that can be swapped. And in order to swap this sprite here, we need to create a sprite library. So let's just choose create menu here in the project panel. And then we have this under the sprite, we have sprite library asset. So let's just call this body parts. And this is how it works. So we need to create a category, and each of the category will have a list. So for the first category, I'm going to set this as the head category. And since we have 3 characters, I'm going to set the size to 3 so we can insert the first head, the second head, and the third head. And we need to add a label. So I'm going just to call this A, B, and C. And now if we expand each of the sprite here, we can drag the character A head to the slot here, and the character B head to the second slot, and also the character C head to the third slot. And once we've created the first category, the head, we need to create all of the other parts category, which is the left arm, the right arm, and so forth. And I've already prepared this. So here, how it looks when it's done under the complete folder, I've already created all of the category needed. So let's just use this. So now I'm going to go to all of the sprite render object. So all of the component that has sprite render, I'm going to select all of them, which is the one with the suffix, the prefix character A. It has all of the sprite component. And here I'm going to add a sprite library. And then under the sprite library, I'm going to drag the character swap here. And I'm going to add the Sprite Resolver. So now we cannot edit the Sprite Resolver when we multi-selected an object, but we need to modify this one by one. So under the pelvis, I'm going to select the pelvis category. So now we can change the pelvis. As you can see here, if I press this, it changed. And the same goes with the leg. So I'm going to change this to this is the right leg, and this would be the left leg. And we need to change all of the category accordingly. And once we select this, we can change the body parts, and the rig will still works. All of the IK, the animation will be intact. And the body, set this to body. This is the right arm. And where's the, oh, this is the left arm. And the neck. And the last one should be the head. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add here. So let's just add the Sprite Library and then the Sprite Resolver and add this character swap sprite and set this to head. And now we can change the head of the character, as you can see. Okay, so now we have this set up. I'm going to add an animator, and I've already created animation here. So I'm just going to add the controller, and this has a jump animation. And you can edit this character from the editor like this, but if you want to edit this to the runtime, we need to create a script, and I'm going to open the script. Okay, so let's just zoom this bit. So basically, we need to using this Unity engine.experimental Unity 2D animation, and this is for adding this Sprite Resolver class. And I've created a public class that are serializable, and I use this class for containing a data here, and I also set this body parts as an array, so we can set the body parts, groups of body parts, and each of the body parts we can set different Sprite Resolver and more than one Sprite Resolver. And this is for changing a couple Sprite Resolver together, and you see what I mean. So basically, we need to set a button to add a method that will get triggered when we click the button, and this button will trigger this switch part. And the switch part will change the ID, and when it changes the ID, we are going to grab the labels array, which is a string array that is an index of our ID, current ID, and the labels is a string that we define here in the switch part. Because whenever we change the art of the category, we need to use this method from the Sprite Resolver class, which is the set category and label, and it asks for a string category and a string label. For the category, we can just get from its Sprite Resolver, but for the label, we need to grab a string label, which is A, B, and C, and we are going to define those labels here in the array, and then it will get switched whenever we increase the index of the ID, the integer ID. So whenever we run this method, it will get increased, and this is basically for to prevent the array gets out of index. So whenever our ID is bigger than the length, it will reset to 0 using the modulus operator. And we are going to pass this ID as the index of our labels, and this will return whether it's A, B, or C whenever we press the button. And I'm going to put the script on the description. And let's go back to Unity. And basically, we need to create a canvas here. So let's just create a UI and a button to test this out. And for this button here, I'm going to set up the UI first. Let's just set this to that resolution. And I'm going to reposition the button around this position here. Okay, I'm going to just reposition the button here. And let's just change the text to an arrow, and I'm going to increase its size and set the button to around 60 pixels wide, and I'm going to create 3 different buttons. And now for the character, we can just add the switch part script, and we want to have 3 sections that we can change, which is the upper body, the head, and then the leg. So let's just create 3 body parts, and each of the body parts will ask for a Sprite Resolver. So for the first one, this is going to be the head, so it's only it only needs 1 Sprite Resolver. And the upper body parts, we have neck, body, and both arms, so we need 4 Sprite Resolver. And for the leg, there is 3 parts, which is the left legs, the right legs, and then the pelvis. So let's just set the last body parts to the Sprite Resolver size to 3. And now let's just expand this and drag the pelvis to be the lower body part here, the first, and the right leg and the left leg. And for the upper body part, we are going to drag the body, the arm, both of the arm, and then the neck. And make sure you are dragging the game object that has the Sprite Resolver component, not the bone game object. And for the head, we are going to drag this to the first one. Okay, and each of these body parts asks for a button. So let's just reposition the button first. And this is the second button for changing the body, and this will be the third button for changing the lower body parts. Go back to the character. I'm going to assign the button to the first button to the first body part, which is the head. Second one to the body, the upper body parts, and the last one should be the lower body parts. Now that we have set this up, we need to set the labels, and this should match our category. So if we go to our character swap here, it should be match. It should match this label string, which is A, B, and C. So here, if I go back to the character, let's just fill this with the correct string, which is A, B, and C. And now we can save the scene here. And since it's already have an animation, I've already created animation before with the corresponding bones name. So if I press play, you see that the character will be jumping. There you go. The character is jumping, and I know it's not the best animation, but if we press the head, you see it changed the head art. If I change the body here, it changed all of the body parts here, and if I change the leg, it will change the leg, as you can see. So you can create a custom character avatar of sorts, and I know the setup, it's a bit complicated, but hopefully Unity will address this soon. It's going to be much easier if we use the PSB files, since we can do the category and the labels inside the sprite editor, so we don't need to create the sprite library from my understanding. But I create this tutorial for someone that doesn't have access to Adobe. So what if we are using a normal sliced body parts via PNG format? So thanks a lot for watching, and I'm going to put the script in the description, but unfortunately I cannot share the art because this is a character that I'm currently developing. So hopefully you can use your own sprite for testing this out. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and those like button. Thanks for watching. Bye.